Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rick Asbury coming to do the devotion for November the 29th of 24, the day after Thanksgiving, right? And we're talking about the 7 I am statements of Jesus from the book of John, and we're on number 5. Hello, Mr. John. Good to see you on here this afternoon. But we're, like I say, we'll be in John chapter 11. And the verses I'm using today is verse 25 and 26. Okay? All right. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving Day yesterday. I went to my family's, and me and the wife, we went to my family's, and I hadn't, there were some people there that I haven't seen in forever. I'm talking my nieces primarily. And now they got kids, so I got great nieces and nephews. And I hadn't seen, it's been, I bet you, 15 years at least, probably. So it was good. I had a great time. And we have those family members, that we see once a year, or twice a year, and I think everybody has those, but it's all right. I enjoyed myself. I sure did. So let's get into this today. John chapter 11 is talking about Lazarus, where they sent word to him that Lazarus was sick. And so he got the message. And so he said, well, let's just go in. We're going to go to another town. We're going to go on to another town instead of going straight there, like we think that people would have done, right? And so he goes to this other town. And anyway, long story of it is, 4 days pass. We know the story. And so he's finally getting into town, where he tells his disciples that Lazarus is sleeping. And so they say, well, if he's sleeping, he's doing well, and so he had to plainly tell them that Lazarus was dead. And so good old Thomas said, well, we'll go die with him. But he also said that in verse 4 that this sickness that Lazarus has, it's not unto death, but now he died physically, right? He did die, but Jesus knew what he was going to do, okay? Jesus knew that he was going to go there, even though it had been 4 days, that he knew he was going to go there, and he was going to raise him from the dead. Now, I don't know, at my church, me and my Sunday school teacher and maybe a couple others, where did Lazarus go while he was in the tomb, because people want to know. But really and truly, it doesn't really matter where he went. It doesn't say. The Bible doesn't say where he went, so it's not important. If it was important, then it would have been wrote in here that, he went to paradise or wherever he went. So I don't know where he went, okay? I'm not I'm not a Bible scholar by any means, and Bible scholars don't even know where he went. They have their opinion like everybody else. But anyway, nonetheless, so Jesus gets into town. He's walking that way. And so Martha gets word that he's coming. And so she goes to meet him. Lord, if you had been here, my brother had not died. Okay? And then he goes through, I'll just pick it up with verse 22. Well, verse 21. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of God, God will give it thee. Now, See, she didn't know that he was God. Even though he was man, he was all man, but he was all God. And so he could perform. I don't know why she didn't know that he, evidently she didn't ever see him perform a miracle. I don't know. So Jesus says to her in verse 23, Jesus saith unto her, thy brother shall rise again. And so in verse 24, Martha saith unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. So we know that she's been taught about the resurrection. What's coming, the rapture of the church. That's what she's talking about there. I believe that's what she's talking about. She's talking about the resurrection when we all are going to go up. And so she said, I know he's going to rise at the last day. I know he's coming out the tomb. I know that the dead in Christ is going to rise first. Now, you got to understand at this time, they didn't have the New Testament, all right? They probably had the 5 books of Moses, and I don't know what else after that, but probably Isaiah. They may have had some of Isaiah's work, writings. But anyway, nonetheless, she knew that he was coming out of that grave later on. She knew that he wasn't just going to, that his life was over, okay? And so she said, I know that he's going to come out at the last day. And so she had no qualms about it. You know, you got people today that'll say, well, I don't believe in resurrection. I don't believe we're going to rise again. Because I've never seen anybody come back from the dead. Okay. Now I know firemen and paramedics and policemen, and they may have seen somebody that flatlined, doctors, nurses. So they probably saw somebody that died. And they come back to life. Now, my father-in-law, I guess he's my stepfather-in-law, it's my wife's stepdad. He was at church one Sunday morning, and long of it is, he had a stroke. Anyway, the ambulance people, when they got there, he didn't have a pulse. They couldn't get it back. And you know what happened? Instead of them running lights and sirens to the hospital, they didn't do that because they thought he was dead. And so they just took their time about getting to the hospital. And so at the hospital, I think they even took their time about getting him out. Long story is, he came back to life. And he told us a story about what he saw, and, but that's the only person I know, and I didn't see him die. His wife did. His wife at the time did. And so, but I've never seen that. I've never seen somebody die and then come back to life. But here, Martha and Mary has watched their brother die. Because you can read the story, and even Mary goes to Jesus and says, Lord, if you'd been here, my brother, he'd still be alive. But the Lord had a plan, didn't he? The Lord always has a plan, okay? And he's always on time. Aren't you glad that the Lord, we think sometimes he shows up late, but the Lord is always on time, okay? Always. So we get into verse 25 and 26, where he says, Jesus saith unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. Now, we know resurrection means coming back. You'll be coming back. You'll be going up in the rapture, or for the people in hell. Okay, that resurrection is not going to be good. It says it's the second death. But these people that are going to come up in the rapture of the church are saved people, of course. But these other people that's going to come up, they're coming up for the judgment seat of Christ. Okay? And that'll be a different time. Now, us Christians, we're going to have to go stand at the judgment seat of Christ. And the lost people are going to have to stand at the white throne judgment. And people get them confused. And so, listen, when us Christians, we're not going to be judged for our sin. The sin debt's already been paid, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. It's already been paid in full, okay? There's no payments that we have to make and no all this, like you can buy something on and pay for it over time. Well, Jesus didn't have to do that. He purchased us outright, and he paid the price up front, okay, for the past, present, and future sin. Because when he died on the cross, he died for the past sin. And he died for the present sin. And then he died for future sin. So, see, he died for the people that died before he come on the scene. Then he died for the people that were present on that day. Hey, Preacher Porter, good to see you on here. And then he also died for us, future, okay? Because before the foundation of the world, Jesus already knew that he was going to have to go to the cross. He already knew when we were going to get saved or if we were going to get saved. Okay? And so he's still forgiving sin today. Okay? Because the sin debt's been paid. And so he tells Martha here, John chapter 11, verse 25 and 26, Preacher Porter. Jesus saith unto her, I am. That's an emphatic statement. I am. He didn't say I might be or I could be. Maybe I will become. No, he says, I am the resurrection and the life. You know what? When he saves us, he gives us life. He don't give us death. And aren't you glad that he died to give us life? Now, you can go back into the book of Genesis where he's creating man. Over there in the 6th chapter. I think it's the 6th chapter. I can't, 2nd chapter, maybe it is. Anyway, nonetheless, but he says that he formed man out of the dust of the ground. And what did he do? He breathed the breath of life in him. Okay? And so he gave man life. Well, just me and you, before we got saved, we were walking around and we were dead men walking. And the minute we got saved, the millisecond that we got saved, life, he gave us life. That we'll never die. Our body's going to die, right? This shell that we're in, it's going back to the dust of the earth. But our soul and spirit's going to one of two places, heaven or hell. And I hope for everybody that's listening or who will listen to this, I hope that you're going to heaven, okay? But he came and he gave us life, okay? He that believeth in me, though he were dead. See, that's what he's talking about there. We were lost people, but then we believed and we accepted him. So that's what he's saying there. He that believeth in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. Ain't that great? We're going to live one day. I don't have to worry about dying. Okay? I don't have to worry about that. Now, I know none of us want to die. Okay? I know we don't want to. We would rather go up in the rapture of the church, right? And I think the only reason we're afraid of death is because we've never experienced death. Okay? And so, I mean, I don't know. I haven't died before. I had my heart to stop before. It was pausing for like 5 or 6 seconds at a time. The doctor had put me on this one medication, and anyway, that's what it did to me. So I had to come off of it. But we're going to live one day. We're not going to die. Yeah. So why should we be afraid to die? Now I know we get in, there's car wrecks and shootings and all this. And you know what? I have no idea what's going to happen in the next 5 minutes. Okay? I don't have no idea. But I know somebody that knows that. And he's watching. He's watching over. He's looking. And so he's got it in his hand. He knows what's coming. You know, it's like those people on 9/11. Okay, the people that were in those towers, they got up and went to work like normal. It was a normal day to them. They had no idea that they were going to have to jump out a window and die. Okay, or be burned up. A lot of people, you know, when that explosion went off, a lot of people just instantly died. Be okay with me to go home right now? Well, you know, that's true. I mean, that's fine by me. I want to, hey, heaven is a lot better place than this earth. There's no heartaches. There's no troubles or trials. There's no pain. You know, a lot better place. Even Paul said that he would rather be in heaven, but it was more expedient for him to stay. You know, he said he was in a between two. In other words, he was between a rock and a hard place, right? You know, I'd rather go to heaven, but it's more needful for me to stay here with you. Now, we know eventually he got beheaded and went to heaven, okay? You know, we always say when we get up there, we're going to ask so-and-so a question. I don't think we're going to ask any questions. I don't think there'll be any questions up there. I think everything will be answered, you know? Or I just do. Then verse 26, it says, "And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die." Then he tells her, "Believest thou this?" Look at what it says there. "And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die." He died for us. He was our propitiation. That's a big old college word for the meaning of substitute. Okay? So when you see that word propitiation, you can use the word substitute because he took our place. He was our substitute. Okay? So that's all that means. And then, I mean, you could go back to John 3:16. What does it say? "For God so loved the world." I know Preacher Porter was talking about this morning on his broadcast there, on his podcast this morning on Back Home Broadcast, I think, whatever it was on. And he was talking about that. You know what? Put your name there. "For God so loved" Joe Porter or John Fetzer. I forgot your name. Rick Asbury. You know, we could go and put your name there. Because you know what? When he died on that cross, it was for you. And salvation is personal. Okay? I mean, that's just how it is. It's a personal thing. You have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. It's be like your spouse. You have a personal relationship with your spouse, right? You're not sharing each other with people. Okay? Now for us, we're supposed to share Jesus Christ. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be witnesses and tell the world, tell people all about him. And so he's telling, "And whosoever liveth and believeth in me shall never die." And so he asked her, believest thou this? She said to him, Yea, Lord, I believe that thou art the Christ, the Son of God, which should come into the world. What about that? So she knew who he was. I think it's something that over there in John chapter 4, he told a lost person, he revealed to a lost person who he was. That was the first person that he told who he was that lost person, that woman at the well. What about that? And so then you can go, and if you finish this out, they go to the tomb, okay? And Martha says, he stinketh by now. Lord, he's been in this grave for 4 days. He's pretty ripe, okay? If you're, I watch Blue Bloods on TV. Anyway, I won't go into what they believe. But anyway, they'll go in and they'll find a body that's been in there for 3 or 4 days, and they're doing all this and getting the Vicks Vapor Rub and all this stuff. Okay, well, the Jews didn't embalm. They didn't do that. Anyway, so they put him in the tomb. They wrapped him up and put him in the tomb. And so Martha said, well, Lord, he stinketh by now. He's pretty ripe. And Jesus said, he might as well said, just let me worry about that. But anyway, he said, no, just show me where it is. So they get there and he says, hey, roll the stone back. He went up to it and he yelled in there, Lazarus, come forth. And you know what? Lazarus did. What about that? So here he comes. Lazarus comes out, and all these people are going nuts because they know Lazarus was dead. I mean, they know he was dead. And here Jesus comes, and this man, he's not dead no more. Now, eventually, he got dead again, didn't he? Okay? And I don't know how long. When the Lord raised him back to life. I don't know how long he lived. Okay, I don't know how many. If it'd be in today's world, think about this. If there would be somebody today that had been dead for 4 days, okay, they'd be, and so they come back to life. They'd be doing all kind of studies on this person. He wouldn't have no peace. They'd be doing all kind of blood samples and tissue, and they'd be doing all this stuff. Back then, he came back to life, and yeah, he was like a tourist attraction after that. People wanted to come. Hey, this man was dead for 4 days. Look at him. And he's sitting there and he's eating with Jesus. What about that? Isn't that funny? They would be. He'd be I don't know, these scientists would come and be doing all kind of experiments on him. But think about it. He has the same power today as he did then. And if the Lord, let me just say, if the Lord wanted somebody to come back to life after they died, now, here's a good book for you to get to read. Okay? 90 Minutes in Heaven. You probably heard me talk about this before, but there's a book. I really don't remember who it's wrote by. I don't remember. But anyway, it talks about this pastor. He was at a preacher's conference, and on this particular day, maybe I ought not tell you. But anyway, long story of it is, he goes to heaven for 90 minutes, and the Lord brought him back. It wasn't time for him to stay there. Now, I just ruined the end of that book for you, but it's still a good book to read. Okay? There's also a book, and I think it's wrote, I don't know if it's by the same person, but there's another book you can get. these are old books now. I'm talking, I quit working for them in 2010. So that's 14. So it's been probably 15 or 16 years, maybe a little longer than that these books come out. And anyway, there's this other book called 30 Minutes in Hell. Okay, these are supposed to be true stories of the 90 minutes in heaven and the 30 minutes in hell. These are supposed to be true stories. Okay, so you just have to get it and read them. But you know what? I truly believe that if the Lord wanted somebody that was dead for 10 years, okay, this is just this is how much I believe in the Lord. If there was somebody that had been dead for 10 years and he wanted them to come back to life, you know what happened? They'd come back to life. I just believe that. I mean, over there in the book of Revelation where these two witnesses, remember, they die, and after 3 days, they left them in the street, didn't they? I don't know, maybe birds come up and pecked on them, I don't know. But you know what? They come back to life. And so I just believe that. So, he says, I am the resurrection and the life. Right? So that's number 5. So this on Monday and Tuesday, on Tuesday and Wednesday, on Mondays I do the Sunday school lesson. So on Monday it'll be in chapter 14. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Amen. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are. Hope you got something out of this today. Hope I explained it good enough and I didn't go way off somewhere. Okay? But hope you got something out of this today. I'm enjoying these. Really am. I was supposed to get them done last week, but anyway. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you didn't eat too much. You know what? Yesterday, I really didn't. I didn't overdo myself. I mean, I ate like a plate of food, and then I ate a little bit of banana pudding and a little bit of Butterfinger cake. That's all I ate. I didn't eat nothing when I come home. None of that. So, it was good. So, all right. Me and Preacher Porter, if you want to join us back at 5:30 today on his page, on Joseph R. Porter's page, we'll be doing Tag Team Bible Study in the Book of Jude. Join us over there, all right? I've been liking, been really enjoying that study, that conversation about Jude. Amen. So, the Preacher Porter, I do hope y'all did have a great Thanksgiving. Anyway, we'll be back at 5:30. Join us over there. See you then. Hope you have a great day, rest of your day. Have a good weekend if you don't join us. May God bless.